Section 8.4 talks about human impacts on wetlands and mangroves. In keeping, we've already talked about wetlands and mangroves, but now we're going to talk about it in terms of human impacts. What is a wetland? A wetland is a distinct ecosystem that is flooded by water, either permanently or seasonally, and anaerobic, meaning without oxygen, processes dominate there. They provide quite a few ecological services. Remember, these are benefits provided by nature in which we pay no money for. One of the main ones they provide is flood control. If we get rid of the wetlands, the water has nowhere to go. Looking at these diagrams over here to the side, when you have intact wetlands, it is in it, and then you have this drainage area. These can take sort of that overflow of water. If we get rid of those destroyed wetlands, the water still has to go somewhere, and it's going to flood out this stream. We also talked about wetlands providing shoreline stabilization and storm protection. So having that vegetation along the shore, we've looked at that emergent vegetation in the shore of the lake. These things here help protect us. Those roots absorb that water. Think back to the Biggest Little Farm, even though that wasn't a wetland, but the roots sort of held things in place. Looking at shorelines, there's sort of green techniques versus gray techniques. So you have like a bulkhead, which is like a wall, all the way from rock and vegetation options all the way down just to vegetation only. So these are different ways that we can have shorelines. Wetlands also provide habitat and nursery. 5,000 species of plant life live in nurseries that are in wetlands, and a third of all species of bird, 190 species of amphibians, and all of America's wild ducks and geese need wetlands to survive. Mangroves are those salt-tolerant trees that grow along tropical shorelines. They inhabit that intertidal zone. Remember, the intertidal zone is where the water level changes. You can see that on the roots. At one point, they're submerged more deeply. You can see that line of color, and sometimes they're less submerged. The mangroves have underwater roots, which are substrates for corals and sponges and tunicates that are down there, and they shelter many species of juvenile fish. Threats to mangroves and wetlands, commercial development, where the wetlands are, they're usually along a shoreline. We like to live there too. Dam construction can change the flow of water, can prohibit the water from flowing or cause too much to flow. Overfishing in those areas, and we can have eutrophication and pollutants from agricultural and industrial waste.